gonna have to stop saying that, it seems to upset some people. Right, my back's a lot better, but it's still not right, and I was racking my brains for what to do on today's video, and I had an idea. Now, all sorts of people watch this channel, some new, some old, some are only interested in certain content, and I do get regular requests to sort of give a rundown of all the bikes that I have in my garage. So I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to sort of do a show and tell and give you a complete rundown of what Uncle Stu keeps in his stable. But before I do that, I have to make a public apology. Now, I do on a fairly regular basis receive complaints about, you know, the way I conduct myself on the channel or the way I do things. Barber International keeps sending me emails begging me not to wear their jackets anymore in my videos because it's affecting sales in a negative way. And then on Monday I got another email from the British Guild of Hairpiece and Toupee Weavers. Now, I have to say it does look like I've dropped the ball here. They pointed out to me that one of my briefs on this channel is to promote British businesses, which is true. It is something that I believe in passionately. Now, this guild represents sort of manufacturers and retailers of fine hair pieces around the British Isles, and their complaint was basically that my encouraging people to subscribe to this channel is having a negative effect on trade for both wig makers and wig retailers. Now, I should point out that there is no concrete scientific evidence behind what they're telling me, but they have noticed a decline in trade because long-term customers that have been buying wigs for decades have suddenly started to regrow hair, and so they've got no further use for hair pieces. Now, they looked into this and they discovered that these people who are suffering from spontaneous hair growth are actually people that watch and subscribe to this channel. Now, they explained to me that what they believe is happening is that the calm and pleasant nature of my videos is lowering cortisone levels in viewers, and of course cortisone is well known for its effect on making people's hair turn white and in turn causing a recession of hair growth. And this is not only causing the guild and its members some problems, it's also not a laughing matter for victims. Now, I'm not entirely sure who it was, but they did allude to one YouTube personality whose trademark follicle absence has been compromised because occasionally he watches this channel and is now having to shave his head twice a day in order to preserve his brand, if you like. Now, I am profoundly sorry to all those guild members and victims that have been affected. This was totally unintentional on my part, and I should hand out this warning now. If you're a gentleman of a certain age and you are suffering from any form of follicle absence or are in any way follically challenged, you should not subscribe to this channel. So do not press the subscribe button, do not press the notification bell, and do not enable your notifications so that you will be informed whenever I upload a new video. And I should point out that failing to observe this warning could result in a spontaneous and luxurious regrowth of hair and a possible regeneration of colour for people with grey or white hair. Once again, my sincerest apologies. Right, moving on. Right, excuse the mess. I am due for a bit of a spring clean of the garage. First of all, we have the old lady of my collection, a 2010 air-cooled Triumph T100. A sort of an ongoing, unfinished project. This old girl featured quite heavily in the first 18 months or so of this channel. You don't see her so much nowadays, but I do still have her. I've got no intention of parting with her. And like all of my bikes, she is kept insured, she's kept clean, she's kept serviced and in good running order. Just because you don't see her very often doesn't mean she's been neglected. Next up is a bit of a contentious one, the liquid cooled Triumph T120 of 2016 vintage. Again, she featured very heavily in the early couple of years of this channel, and probably the most modified of the whole collection. Now, I don't love this bike, but ownership has been soured by frequent warranty problems, numerous recalls, just problems that have been reported right since the very first video I ever produced, and Triumph's refusal to take ownership of a problem when they get things wrong. In fact, this bike has had more problems than any other vehicle I've ever owned, and I once owned a Lada. And then to make matters worse, last year, if you remember, Triumph got in touch with me and eventually took the bike away to their factory in order to give it a detailed examination in order to rectify some warranty issues that I'd reported 4 years ago and work out whether there was an issue with the gearbox. Now, the bike was handed over to them with 3/4 of a tank of fuel and came back bone dry, with some light scratches on the tank which thankfully compounded out, and substantial damage to the front sprocket cover, as you can see here. And none of the reported faults were rectified. In fact, it looks to me like they just sat a trained chimpanzee on it and told it to go around the block until the bike stopped working. And I'm using the word trained sarcastically. Now, I did bring this damage to the attention of the driver that delivered the bike back to me, but he was too busy slagging off the Royal Enfields that I had in my garage, I think, to actually pay attention. Either that or he did report it to Triumph and they just didn't care. I mean, I did approach Triumph again about it, but they weren't interested. So my relationship with Triumphs now is dead. I will of course be rectifying this damage in due course. I have already made a video on this in the past, but if people want me to make another video about how to go about it, let me know in the comments section below. Next up, of course, we have the Triumph Bonneville Bobber Black, the supermodel of the collection. Not a rider's bike in my humble opinion, but gorgeous to look at. Now, if you remember going back to, when was it? Middle of 2018, this bike was purchased as part of a collaboration with Moton Customs. A collaboration which I might add is still very much alive and kicking. She still makes frequent appearances on the channel and is likely to continue to do so for quite some time. So is the T120 for that matter. Now, it would be remiss of me not to remind you that there is an exclusive 12% Moton Customs discount through this channel using the discount code CACTUS, and I will leave details of that in the video description down below. Moving on, my Royal Enfield Interceptor 650 in Orange Crush. I think this is possibly my second most favourite bike, another ongoing project that isn't finished yet. What this bike might lack in outright performance, it more than makes up for in agility, handling, and just a general feel-good factor when you're riding it. Like my other Royal Enfields, it's uncomplicated, unpretentious, and easy to work with loads of potential for future customization. In fact, as far as most of the Western world is concerned, in my opinion, Royal Enfield is one of the most underrated motorcycle brands. But if you already own one, you'll know that already. Next up, the latest bike to join the stable, a Royal Enfield Continental GT 650. Now, she hasn't really featured on anything in the channel so far. I'm still assessing this bike. Royal Enfield have made one or two improvements since the days that I bought the Interceptor, and for those commenters who think that an Interceptor and a Continental GT are the same bike but just look different, you are totally and completely wrong. They are chalk and cheese. Keep your eyes peeled, there's content up and coming. Now, last but not least, and I have to say, this bike really surprised me. The Royal Enfield Classic 500 is the bike that I tend to choose to ride more than anything else. It's a motorcycle built for true motorcyclists. The quality of build isn't quite as good as the Continental GT or the Interceptor, but it's not horrendous. The Classic 500s are a bike that need a little bit of fettling when you take over ownership. But that is part of ownership for these bikes, and it's well worth it. Now, just to set the record straight with this bike and DW Motorcycles in Scarborough, I reported a warranty issue with the paintwork on the left-hand side panel when I first got the bike, and quite a few months later, nothing had really happened. Now, quite out of the blue, just before Christmas, they got in touch with me and told me that after a long wait on back order, they had finally received the replacement side panel or side box, which they have now sent through to me. And the delay was due to the pandemic and the problems that India were facing at the time. There has also been an intermittent problem with the ABS check light, which I believe I've now got to the bottom of, and I am going to make a video in the near future not only bringing that to your attention, but also showing you how to upgrade your instrument lights, because they are abysmal. You can't see anything in daylight. As someone pointed out to me last week, I was riding around throughout a video with the main beam on, but you wouldn't know that by looking at the instrument panel, because the lights are so dim. But I have a fix, and there is a video up and coming. Seriously, despite her foibles, the Classic 500 is the nicest bike I've ever owned. And I say that without any reservation whatsoever. I can see why these have such a cult following in India. As a retiree, if I wasn't running this channel and I could only have one bike just to run around on and have fun, I think it would be a Bullet. I just can't get enough of this bike. Right, finally, before I go, I have had quite a bit of criticism, once again, of my security measures in my garage. Now, I'm not sure how people can make these criticisms because they don't know what my security measures are. The entrance to this garage is covered by multiple alarmed CCTV cameras, and on top of that, there are a host of other security measures in place. But it would be rather silly of me to publicise all those in a video, wouldn't it? Right, once again, thank you so much for watching this video and my other videos, and in doing so helping to support this channel. I really do appreciate it. And thank you for your patience while I'm waiting for my back to sort itself out. Now, a reminder to those of you who are follically challenged, subscribing to this channel in the future could result in you spending an awful lot of money at the barbers. You've been warned. And from now on, I will accept no liability for any cases of spontaneous and luxurious hair growth if you should ignore my warnings. Now, if you're riding, please ride safely, and I'll see you next week.